Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Colin Davis. I'm the GM of Alexa for Business. Very excited to have you and tell you a little bit about the service. Before I get started into that, though, I always like to share some Alexa stories because everyone has some. By quick show of hands, who has an Echo or an Alexa device in the room? You're in the Alexa track, so that's a good sign. I have a 4-year-old son. Does anyone have kids that uses their Alexa? So my favorite story, and I'm admittedly biased, when my 4-year-old was about 2.5, his punishment when he didn't listen to what we were asking him was a 2-minute timeout standing in the corner of the room. And he would go stand in the corner of the room, and I would always ask Alexa to set a timer for 2 minutes. And one evening, it was getting close to bedtime, and I told him to clean up his toys. And he looked at the floor. It had been a particularly fun night. There were Hot Wheels and dinosaur toys and construction vehicles strewn out throughout the floor. And you could see the wheels spinning in his head, and he's doing the math. And he looks at me and says, "I think I'll take the time out." And he turns around and he walks directly to the, and I'm having a really hard time keeping a straight face at this point. How am I going to deal with this for 18 more years? And he gets to the corner and he turns around, and for icing on the cake, he says, "Alexa, 2 minutes." And I think the point of this story is, aside from the fact that, let's see here.
It's the other control.
Maybe not. Oh, maybe this one. Yes. All right, so the point of the story is, aside from the fact that I am definitely biased and I find it funny, is a voice is a new interaction paradigm for interacting with the digital world and with technology. I remember, we've come a long way. Obviously, this chart shows all the way back 40 years, the evolution all the way from characters through mobile. I remember when mobile first became a big thing, especially with tablets. There were those memes with the magazines, and there were videos on YouTube where kids would swipe on a print magazine, and they'd get frustrated because it was broken, because you couldn't swipe on the paper. I was talking with a colleague last night. She was telling me her child, not too long ago, would stand in front of the TV and yell at it, "Alexa," to change the channel or to put on Paw Patrol, just because they just thought that was how. Alexa wants to play Paw Patrol over here. They just thought that things should be voice interactive. You should be able to use voice to talk to devices. And now you can actually control your TV with Alexa. And the point is, kids are growing up in a world today where, number one, voice is such a natural form of communication that it's even easier than touch. And they're just going to expect that this is the way that we interact with technology today. And it's been so transformative in the home, with smart home and setting timers for your kids' timeouts and getting kitchen recipes or even ordering a pizza, that we started to wonder, what else could we do with Alexa and where else could we take it? We're all professionals, and we spend a lot of time around the office, and we spend as much time in the office as we do at home, and yet we would show up in the office and find ourselves, at least some of us, really missing the ability to use Alexa to get things done. And this is why we set out to create Alexa for Business. And what Alexa for Business is a service that comes with a set of new capabilities that we've taught Alexa, designed at making you and business professionals more productive at work, but also at helping businesses deploy, manage, control Alexa at scale across their organizations. One, so they can make their employees more productive. Two, so that they can actually give. There is a hidden echo up here. I will find it. Oh, it's the show. Sorry. So the other is so that they could actually give their customers better experiences, voice-enabled experiences. Examples like hotel rooms or sporting stadiums will come to mind, and we'll talk a little bit about those. But at the crux of what Alexa for Business is a service that allows administrators to deploy Alexa in 2 different ways across their organization. The first way is around the workplace, to simply build a smarter, voice-enabled workplace. And we talked a lot about conference rooms in the keynote, and you heard Werner talk about it. Conference rooms were certainly the genesis in many ways of what has now become Alexa for Business. We were sitting around a conference room noticing all the controls, the remote controls, the touch screens, the cables, and just the frustration with getting a meeting started, getting the TV on the right input, getting the conference pin entered, and you entered the pin the wrong way one time and you got to enter it again. And that frustration really drove our incentive to enable the conference room using voice. But then when we started to think about it, we realized that if you can manage Alexa at scale and you could figure out ways to deploy Alexa around the workplace, there are a ton more use cases where you can use it. Lobbies, you can use it for guests checking in. Copy rooms for controlling printers or reporting issues, team rooms or breakout rooms or kitchens for even just playing music and relaxing. There are a ton of use cases that customers have actually come up with once they've started to think about and see the possibility of putting a voice all around the workplace. In these environments, the Alexa devices that you will interact with are anonymous. So the types of things that you use Alexa for, they don't require you to know who you are. Alexa, tell the office that the printer is broken. Is something that helps facilities respond to issues more quickly. But it doesn't require knowing who is sending that report. But a big part of Alexa is the personal devices. And all of us have Alexa at home. We set up preferences, we set up our favorite music playlists, we register with skills. Those skills are linked to accounts, like an Uber skill or a Domino's skill that are linked to accounts. And that we are able to interact with other services that we use via voice. So the other dimension to Alexa for Business, besides deploying Alexa around the workplace, is inviting employees to be able to enroll their personal Alexa accounts with the organizations that they belong to. So an administrator can send an invitation email to an employee that contains a URL that can be followed that allows them to log into their Alexa account and make that association. By making that association, we get access to things that our employers provide. We get access to on-prem resources or secure corporate information. We get access to private skills that the company has built. And we get that access from any device that we've already registered with that account. The idea being that Alexa will, over time, become more and more of this ever-present personal assistant that we use that we interact with wherever we are. So in the morning when we wake up, we go to the kitchen and we're making coffee. Alexa, what time is my first meeting? Get in the car on the way to work. There are now third-party devices that integrate with car radio Bluetooth systems. Cancel my meeting or schedule a meeting or remind me to do something while we're on the road and a thought occurs to us. And then when we get to the office, and we have a device in our office. And so a big part of Alexa for Business spans beyond the devices around the workplace and also into the personal devices that we use both at home and at work. Some of our favorite use cases that we've heard from customers, these are the things at your desk. So Alexa, what's on my calendar? It tells you the types of appointments and meetings that you have on your calendar. You can then reschedule them or move them or cancel them. The team is spending a lot of time thinking about time management in general, and we think that a lot of us spend way too much time trying to schedule meetings, trying to schedule follow-ups and coordinate schedules across our colleagues, and we think Alexa can go a long way to help there. Alexa, start my meeting. So in a conference room, it will start the meeting that the room is scheduled on, but for a personal device in my kitchen or at my desk, it'll schedule the meeting that's on my personal calendar and has the logic to extract the meeting information from the calendar and find the dial-in and find the pin and automatically connect so that the frustration of trying to enter that information is gone. Call Rich is another one where today, if you want to call a colleague, you oftentimes have to look up a phone number and then dial that phone number on a phone. Now just asking Alexa to call Rich will contact the Rich that's in your contact list. And if you're both using Alexa, or if you're both using Echo Show even, you get video conferencing in the form of Alexa to Alexa. It can also call regular cell phone or landline numbers. Great third-party skills like Salesforce, and they're going to come up and talk a little bit later, but ask Salesforce for today's sales. There's a lot of use cases for a Salesforce or a sales team to be able to use to stay on top of their accounts and get information about their accounts. Concur has built a really cool skill that helps you track travel. What time should I leave for my flight? Is my flight on time? But then there's also the personal skills, that notion of being able to blur the lines between work and personal is a very big part of Alexa for Business. So you may have playlists at home that you use to relax. You can play those same playlists in your office by virtue of the fact that your Alexa accounts are linked with your organization. Around the office, sort of in those anonymous use cases, start the meeting still absolutely applies. Walking into a conference room, Alexa, start the meeting. That can work in a couple different modes that I'll touch on in a minute. Ask team to book a conference room. I think we've all run into the problem of having multiple people using the same conference room. Who has this room booked? Do we need to find a different room? Team has built a great service that helps to solve this, and they've added Alexa to it. Alexa, turn on the lights. Simple smart home commands apply in the conference room. We've seen more and more customers invest in building smart home equipment out in their conference rooms to make their conference rooms more modern and easy to use. Another use case for this is hotels. You saw Werner talk about the Wynn Hotel and how they've put Alexa in their hotel rooms. I'm actually staying at the Encore. My room has an Echo. It's super convenient. Waking up in the morning, Alexa, open the shades, and light starts to come in the room. You don't need to find the switch. I don't know where the switches are in that hotel room. This one is a really popular one. Ask the office for the guest Wi-Fi password. And a customer came up with that, where the idea is that there's a ton of things that all of our companies have and pieces of information that we all have that are internal sort of tribal knowledge that's hard to find. And we have acronyms that need definition, and new employees come online. And ask the office what the guest Wi-Fi password is just one example of the types of basic information query that can be asked by Alexa. Tell the office that the printer is broken is another use case where facilities teams sort of lamented the fact that issues would go unreported for a really long time, and they would fix them much faster if only they knew about them. And lots of times you'll see these printouts on the wall, a laminated piece of paper that says for the help desk, call this phone number, but few people reach in their pocket and dial that phone number. And so the issue just sits there, not because IT or facilities isn't fixing it fast enough, it's just that they don't know about it. And so building something that helps facilities to be able to get issues reported to them more quickly, super convenient. Lots of people will simply say, Alexa, tell the office that the printer's broken. Quick touch on conference rooms, because this was such a catalyst for the ideas behind Alexa for Business, and we think it solves a really important problem. There are two modes that Alexa can work in a conference room. The first is a speakerphone. So in a small conference room, you can put an Echo or an Echo Plus in the middle of the conference room table. You can ask Alexa to dial the meeting or to start the meeting, and you'll automatically be connected. Alexa will dial the phone number and enter the PIN and meeting ID information and automatically connect you to the meeting. And it works with all conferencing providers, so it's not limited to any one provider. Administrators can configure it to work with Amazon Chime. They can configure it to work with WebEx or GoToMeeting or BlueJeans, and that can be the default meeting provider. But all the time, we may have our own internal system, and it's so common to have to join a call that's hosted by a customer or a vendor or someone else, and it's not the system that our own internal IT uses, and we have to go through a different process to join that meeting. Our goal is that you should be able to walk into any room and say, start the meeting on any system, and simply be connected regardless of how that meeting is hosted. So we built logic that extracts the meeting information from the calendar of the room and will automatically connect you to any meeting system regardless of what it is. This also works on personal devices as well. IT administrators can connect rooms with calendars. So rooms typically have resources that are used to track and book rooms, and that's often where meeting information is stored. And they can also set up in-room systems. So if you've invested tons of money in high-end cameras and microphones and screens, you can connect those and configure them so that Echo can act as a controller to control those rooms instead of acting like a speakerphone. And in those environments, you don't even need something like an Echo or an Echo Plus. A small $49 Echo Dot can be dropped into a conference room and can turn a $10,000, $20,000 plus conference room system into a voice-enabled system, and you don't have to replace any of that investment at all. So I'm going to invite Akersh up. He is an evangelist from the Alexa team, and he's going to tell you guys a little bit about how to get started doing some of this stuff around your office. Thanks, Max.
First of all, thank you, Colin, and good evening, everyone. I have to say that when Colin called me in his office and said, Akersh, this is what we're doing. We're going to be launching it in time for reInvent. I want you to join me up to talk about it. Talk about how we're going to build with this. I was floored. I was floored because I understood where we're coming from. The questions that Alexa for Business answers are the questions that people have been asking all along for Alexa. When people see a voice-enabled computing interface, the next natural question that we ask is, how do we get ambience? How can we be Captain Kirk? How can we sit in the middle of our control station, our command center, use our voice to manipulate our reality around us? So this is one of those steps. But I'm going to take it back right now and talk about history, how we got here. Now, 3 years ago, right around this time, reInvent, we announced the Alexa device to the world. We introduced our customers to something incredibly special. We introduced them to a world where everywhere they go, they have the potential of accessing compute interface using their voice and their voice alone. But soon after, and perhaps coming from our extremely deeply embedded sense of customer obsession at Amazon, we recognized that in order for us to allow Alexa to grow more capable, to grow smarter, to have more potential, we had to enable and empower developers to be able to build the capabilities for Alexa. That's where we came up with the Alexa Skills Kit. Now, the Alexa Skills Kit is a collection of self-service APIs and tools that abstracts the complexity of things like speech recognition and natural language understanding and machine learning, so that developers can spend their energy and their efforts focusing on what matters most, which is creating compelling voice experiences for customers and for end users. In fact, the Alexa Skills Kit does such a great job of reducing this complexity that it is possible for developers to create capabilities as simple as it is to understand an HTTP request and response. As a result of this, today the Alexa Skills Marketplace has over 25,000 skills. Skills that allow customers and users across the world to check their bank accounts. Skills that allow people to order their coffee before they head out for the day. And that's where we came on the morning of Alexa for Business. We turned our ears to our customers once again. We asked you guys, contemporaries, what were the major problems? And we heard it again and again and again. Okay, so this is awesome. I want to now put 1,000 Alexa devices across my entire office building so everyone's connected. Oh, great. I didn't know Alexa could do that. How do I bring it into my business so that customers that come to my shop, that come to my retail space, have a truly unique experience that they can associate with my brand? And up until yesterday, it was such a disappointment to always say, no, you can't. But today, I'm absolutely excited to say that yes, we can. And with Alexa for Business, we can do all of that. So earlier, Colin discussed smart conferencing, right? And he talked about some of the use cases that Alexa for Business can really take. But there's one thing other than that I want to talk about. And this might require a little bit of gear change. From talking about business capabilities to talking about another channel through which business owners and business people can service their customers in different ways. So I've got an example that I wonder how many of us in this room can relate to. But it's a story of a tired business traveler, right? Your flight was delayed, you come into a hotel pretty late, and all the nearby restaurants are closed. Normally, we'd walk into our concierge, ask for room service. With Alexa for Business, maybe we can try something else.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
That wasn't part of the demo. We'll try that again. Live demo, guys. Alexa, ask room service for dining options.
Good evening, and welcome to the Imaginary Hotel Group. Hope your trip here was comfortable. Currently, we're serving our late night menu. We have chicken tenders, quesadilla, filet mignon, and caviar. Which one can I order for you?
Let's do chicken tenders.
Absolutely. I've placed your order of chicken tenders. It will be sent up to your room 2201 in 30 to 45 minutes. Is there anything else I can help you with?
A wake-up call at 6 in the morning.
I've scheduled a 6 a.m. wake-up call for tomorrow. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No? Thank you.
Thank you for being a valued member of the Imaginary Hotel Group, Mr. Shrivastava. Let me know if there's anything you need. Have a restful evening.
And thank you.
Your chicken tenders.
Appreciate it. And that's what I like to call customer service. Now, there's a few things, it's delicious, by the way, but I was sitting in the speaker ready room for 5 hours, so chew through it. But one of the things that came out in that demo that I really want to draw everyone's attention to was the contextual awareness of Alexa. She knew my name. She knew that I just checked in. She knew which room I was in to be able to bring the order to me. She knew what time it was, so she was able to put together the right menu. She made it the entire process so easy for me. I didn't have to pick up the phone. I didn't have to, well, because I'm frustrated, it's late at night, talk to another person. But ultimately, the customer in this case, ourselves, because we've all been there at some point. For those of us that haven't, consider yourself blessed, but you'll be there soon, I promise. But that's, I think, what Alexa for Business really allows us to do when it comes to servicing a customer in a particular channel like that. That was an example of what we call a private skill. With Alexa for Business, we can develop private skills that are exclusive to the organization. The invocation name to that skill was room service. It rolled off the tongue. It was easy. I didn't have to be instructed. I could go into my room and magically say, Alexa, ask room service, and didn't have to be prompted anywhere, right? We're slowly getting closer to that ambient state of computing that I talked about a little bit earlier. The second thing is the contextual awareness the private skills allow us to build into. And it's capability that's enabled by Alexa for Business. Now, this is the key differentiator. I've been asked this about half a dozen times since this morning, but what makes a custom Alexa for Business skill different than a skill that's available in the marketplace? And I'll tell you, very little. And this is intentional. We want this to be a common framework, a common skill set for developers across the world to be able to build skills in one format that can be released to two, which is why the Alexa Skills Kit and the build process stays consistent, whether you're creating a skill that you want to publish to a marketplace or a skill that you want to make private for your enterprise. The only difference comes is when you're deploying the skill. With the skill that you want to publish to the marketplace, you actually take the extra step of pushing it through our publication process. With the skill that we want to deploy to our organization, to our Alexa for Business account, we actually deploy it using our skill management API to a central, which can then be administered from a centralized console like the one that we have up above. So this right here shows the skills that are enabled. It also shows you that we have access as an administrator to control and lock the experience of the devices that we're putting across the organization. And beyond that, management, as Colin had mentioned, is a tremendous boon that Alexa for Business brings. We mentioned a little bit earlier, how do you take thousands of devices, roll them out across? Provisioning is always a challenge. But to reduce that complexity, we allow the creation of groups. So we can manage devices in groups by assigning them, manage devices and skill types in groups. We can also assign devices to rooms so that we have the contextual awareness that I demonstrated a little bit earlier. You can specify device locations and enable sets of skills and prevent users from tampering with them. This is what it looks like in the interface when you're actually managing the devices. On the right-hand side, and I think that maybe stage left, is a screenshot of room assignments for particular devices. And on the other side is a screenshot of what the wizard looks like to be able to provision multiple devices at once. So we've also simplified that process. If you can imagine what it's like to go through, and we've got Alexa owners here, imagine trying to do the Alexa setup steps 1,000 times in a row. Well, we've simplified that greatly by being able to use this tool to connect and provision multiple devices at a time. It's as simple, really, when we start talking about rooms and profiling, as 4 steps. We create a room for our device, create a room profile, so we decide to suggest what type of a room the composite is. It could be a lobby room, a conference room, a hotel room. And then we enable skills that we want to expose to that experience. Those are put into groups. And finally, we connect the device to the network, and because everything's in the cloud, you're good to go, and your experience is ready for your customers. The final thing that Colin also mentioned very deeply is that we understand right now that the needs of our business is highly, highly mobile these days. Most of what we do touches some global level of really any capacity, right? So user enrollment allows enrolled users to join an Alexa organization from their personal devices. And that way, the same skills that we've enabled, the same features and business capabilities that are available for those users are now available and ready from their personal devices at home. So that whether they are in their office, away, or abroad, they can still get that highly customized and highly personalized voice experience. So I invite you all to come take a look at Alexa for Business. There is absolutely very little time cost in actually joining, signing up. You can take a look at the interface and the capabilities that we present from our centralized management console. And with that, I'd like to bring Colin back up on stage to talk a little bit about our growing community of skill developers and partners.
Thanks, Akirsh.
Yeah, you bet.
You want your chicken tenders? They looked real tasty.
They're for you.
So one of the things we've been really lucky to do is work with some excellent partners for quite some time since we started in this process. And the developer community is very excited about the things that Alexa for Business opens up. We've seen lots of companies show off Alexa, show off the skills that they would like to do with Alexa. But until today, there hadn't really been a pragmatic way to take these new capabilities and have them actually get used in the real world. And the thing that we're really excited about with Alexa for Business is the doors that can be opened in terms of new skills in the development community. Splunk has built a really cool skill that they use to query information from their system. We talked a lot about the conference room, so Polycom and Crestron have been connected their systems to Alexa. Sharp is actually one of the ones that we sort of hinted at with the copy room. They built a skill literally in a matter of weeks that allow you to be able to walk into a copy room and say, Alexa, print 20 copies, double-sided and stapled. So there's no more trying to find how to do that on a visual UI. Each one is a little different and requires relearning. We've got a lot of really, really exciting developers that are building as part of the community. They help us think about new ideas. They help us think about the way that Alexa can help really push towards that form of ambient computing. And it's been an immense pleasure to work with some of them. And then on the customer side as well, we've been engaged with a number of customers who have been great feedback providers and coming up with a lot of the ideas. The idea, what's the guest Wi-Fi password? A customer came up with that, the listing of the acronyms. We had a customer build a shuttle schedule, so you can walk down to the lobby. They have a big campus. Alexa, what time is the shuttle to a certain building? And it'll tell them what time and where they'll be. There's a restaurant. Dickey's Barbecue has looked at building skills that help restaurant owners in the franchise be able to track their business and track supplies and see how their business is working. Lots of great ideas, but it's far better for you guys to hear it directly from a partner. And I'd love to bring up Skip Jonathan from Salesforce, and they're going to show you what they've been building with Alexa for Business.
Thank you, Colin. Hi, my name is Skip Sauls. I'm a Director of Product Management for Salesforce. I work on the Analytics Cloud, but for the past few weeks I've been working on a really cool project which we now know as Alexa for Business. We're going to talk a bit about that today. With me I have Jonathan Bruce, who's been driving a lot of this today. He knows more about the actual business side of things. I've been playing techie. In fact, I've been writing code. I cloud code. And doing some really interesting stuff that we're going to show you today in a few minutes. Oops, very loud zipper there. Sorry about that.
Yep, so hey everyone, I'm Jonathan Bruce. I'm part of our Strategic Alliances group. We're the group at Salesforce who builds partnerships with all of our strategic partners, and delighted to be working with Amazon on this project. All right, so Skip's going to log in here and get us all set for our demo. We've got a couple slides we're going to go through. I'll let Skip do those, and then we'll pivot to the demo.
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring up, we have to put up a forward-looking statement slide. If you're familiar with Salesforce, you've seen these slides numerous times. If you're not familiar with Salesforce, this is our slide saying that we're going to be showing you things today that may not be in the current release of the product, and do not make any of your purchasing decisions based upon what you see here today. We ask that you buy things based upon what's in our current release, not on these forward-looking and speculative pieces there. That being said, we're building everything today on top of our current release. So what you're seeing today is not something built on some magical unreleased software. It just so happens it's not a supported Salesforce feature at this point. You want to add to that, Andy?
That's right. So the short way of thinking about this is it allows us to show what we're going to show you in the next few minutes. You good?
Okay. Just getting set up so when we get ready to, we'll switch over. So we're going to talk about this and kind of riff on this side by side and talk about it. But basically, we're talking about working with Amazon Alexa. In the middle here, we have what we call Einstein from Salesforce. And Einstein is our collection of basically artificial intelligence and voice-related technologies. So how do you get advice and insights and that sort of thing? So we have a collection of products and services that are under this Einstein umbrella. And then, of course, all on top of the Salesforce platform. Who here is familiar with Salesforce and uses it in some capacity? Okay, so we have a few folks. So we're building everything on top of the same platform that you use, and we're using all of the open APIs and services and SDKs and that sort of thing. So none of what you see today is using some internal API. It's all built on what's currently publicly available. And we're very excited because, like Amazon, we're very passionate about having open APIs and platforms. And people oftentimes see Salesforce and think, oh, it's just a business app I use. But it's actually a platform for building custom applications, and it's used by customers all around the world to power their business. And we're very proud of the fact that a lot of times when you're logging into a website or you're doing a call with somebody, talking to a service agent, it's actually powered by Salesforce, even though you may not think of it as that way. So it's actually behind the scenes running a lot of your business.
Yeah, so I'll add to that. And I think also we are super excited by the prospect of voice-driven applications. I love the slide we saw earlier on. We saw the evolution of computing, and we too are seeing our customers coming to us going, we have a ton of investment in Salesforce, and we want to unlock that to a whole set of different users. So let's keep going.
So one of the things that you're going to find is that if you haven't used Salesforce a lot, is it's very customizable. And a lot of our users are passionate because we give the admin a lot of power. In fact, if you go to our events, the admins are super excited. They're cheering and chanting and getting very passionate about it because we give them a lot of power without requiring them to become developers and do low-level things. We talk about things like declarative versus programmatic, but we like to make sure that you've got the programmatic side covered as well. So if you like to get in and get your hands dirty and get low-level, you can go in there and do the exact same thing. So a lot of the things you'll see today in our demo are based upon this metadata. We have things like layouts and lists and so forth. All that's driven by the Salesforce platform. So everything you're going to see on the screens and here is customizable by the admin. So someone can say, well, let's change the order of things, and it's reflected directly on the device. This is really cool because it means our admins can get in there and do things and change the behavior for their users, again, without writing the custom code each time.
Yep. So some of the other personas we're thinking about here is Salesforce. Traditionally, it's a CRM sales-based application, but we also see a ton of application around the service side of things. And in fact, one of the demos we'll do in a few minutes will focus on exactly that scenario.
So just a bit about some of the analytics piece you'll see today. Again, I work on these products. I actually work on the platform side of that to enable it. And we provide 2 products that are in the analytics space, as well as some products that are in traditional reporting or operational reporting. So we have tools that allow you to do big data analytics. And we have the Einstein Discovery product that lets you get insights based upon something in your org. So we talk about orgs as the unit of most people's business. So it actually looks at the data, looks at all of your accounts, cases, leads, and comes up with the recommendations. And it actually lets you pick out things like what will make you more successful. You say, well, I want to maximize my sales, I want to minimize my cost. And it'll come up with a set of recommendations based upon that kind of data. So it fits in very well with the whole notion of using the voice, because you can actually have it tell you the story, tell you the recommendations. And instead of you sifting through screen after screen, it can show you the select pieces that help you make those decisions.
Yeah, and also it's entirely applicable to both of the use cases you saw today, both the conference room and the desk use case as well. So super applicable.
So we talked about Einstein Discovery, and typically the UI you would see is something like this, where you're looking at a report, a dashboard, and it will pop out to the side and will tell you these things. And it can read it to you, it can show it to you, show you a slide deck and that kind of thing. But a lot of it is something that is told in a story fashion. And that's where Alexa is really cool, because you can actually ask it, tell me something about my day, tell me something about my accounts, tell me how to maximize things. And it will go off and grab the insights from Einstein and either say those to you or speak them to you, or if you have a show device, it can show you some of the insights there in terms of charts and graphs and that sort of thing. So you can do this without having to go and log into your laptop or your desktop and do things that way. So it's actually a very natural way for someone to query things. And importantly, you can hook it up so you can drill into it. You can say, well, if I want to change this factor here, what's going to be the result there? And it can tell you things about it, tell you how to maximize your business. Okay, let's go to the demo. We're going to switch over to this other machine here. All right, cool. And we're going to be using this Alexa show. And if you haven't seen one of these, they're really cool. They have a screen on them. And what I'm going to do is have Jonathan put the microphone here so that you can hear Alexa talking. It's actually pretty loud by itself, but we'll make sure we can hear everything. And what I've got here is a webcam showing the Alexa device. And then we have my Salesforce org over here. And what we're going to do is show you how we can use Alexa to show us and tell us things about our Salesforce org, about our various objects. And importantly, just like you would have in, say, a conference room, we're going to have it turning around and driving the web-based application in this case.
Hey, how are we doing that, Skip?
So we're using something called platform events for this. And a platform event is a really cool streaming-based technology. If you're familiar with things like Comet D and so forth, it's based on the same basic piece. But we've made it super simple. So from my Alexa skill, from Lambda, I can basically post a platform event, and then inside of Salesforce, it's picked up by processes, sent down to clients, and things happen there. And the cool part is I, as an admin, can say, what do I want to have happen based upon that platform event? And on the client side, what we're going to do is actually pick up the platform event, look at the payload, which will say things like show case, and it'll give it a case number, and it's going to show it on the screen by firing a client-side event. So we're using this kind of round-trip thing to drive it. So you can imagine hooking these up inside of conference rooms and not having to go in and log in every time, type and click and scroll around. You see people do this all the time. You can simply say, bring up my latest dashboard, show my cases, and those things will show up on the screen. So we'll do this kind of side by side. So let's start with the demo. Alexa, open Salesforce reInvent. I don't think it heard me.
Welcome to Salesforce.
Alexa, show my cases.
I found these cases in my open cases.
Alexa,
Phone shattered.
Alexa, show case 1.
Showing case number is 000-18902. Subject is phone shattered. product is Apple iPhone 10, 64 gigabytes.
Alexa.
Silver.
Set case priority to low.
Showing case number is 000189002. Subject is phone shattered.
So if you notice here, we actually set that priority on the record inside of Salesforce. So we sent a command from the Lambda service, from the skill, up to Salesforce, and it set it and then refreshed the record, and you see it there. And we're changing the color in the background just to kind of make it cool for the demo. This is just for us to kind of illustrate what's happening there. So this shows you it's live data. This is not something where it's just some static data that we've wired into it. We're actually working on the Salesforce org itself, going from the cool platform we have here for Alexa into our open APIs and back.
So a great use case for this is in our Service Cloud. So let's imagine one of you guys here, who's an iPhone here? Few of you have an iPhone, okay. Let's imagine, well, we're just at the end of reInvent. You broke your iPhone on the Monday, smashed it. What would you do? How would those who are running reInvent actually support you? So potentially what we can do here is show how we can support a customer, make sure you have an amazing reInvent experience by supporting you and delivering you a new phone. And that's exactly what we've wired up here.
Alexa, open Salesforce reInvent.
Welcome to Salesforce.
Alexa, show my cases.
I found these cases in my open cases.
Alexa,
Phone shattered.
show case 1.
Showing case number is 000189002. Subject is phone shattered.
Alexa, suggest replacement products.
I found this Apple iPhone 10, fully unlocked 5.8 inches, 64 gigabytes.
Alexa.
Silver on.
Send suggested replacement.
Showing case number is 000189002.
Alexa,
Subject
refresh
is-
case.
Showing case number is 000189002. Subject is phone
So
shattered.
you can see here that the case is now closed. And what we did on the Salesforce side is we kicked off a workflow. We have a product called Process Builder. And inside the workflow, I can do things like send emails, I can look up things, I can call out to custom code, I can call out to external services. And so what we're doing here is I signed up with Amazon via their product marketing API. And I'm actually making a call with the ASIN number that I have for this product, the one that got shattered. And it finds a replacement. And it actually sends me back the listing. And what I'm doing is generating an email which has that embedded listing so the user can click on it and it opens up inside of Amazon. They can order it and get a replacement phone there. So this kind of gives you the full circle inside of there. And that was really easy to do because Amazon has open APIs for this as well. It took me like 15 minutes to sign up, get the ASIN, and start working with this. So that's actually kind of cool that you can build this kind of thing very easily. Okay, Alexa, open Salesforce reInvent.
Welcome to Salesforce.
Alexa, show my dashboards.
Einstein Analytics found these dashboards.
Alexa, show dashboard 2.
Dashboard leaderboard.
Alexa, show dashboard 1.
Dashboard team activities.
Alexa, show my accounts.
I found these accounts in my accounts.
Alexa, show my leads.
I found these leads in all open leads.
Alexa, show lead 1.
Showing full name is Bertha Boxer. Title is Director of Vendor Relations. Company is
Alexa.
Farmers.
Show my contacts.
I found these contacts in my contacts. John Doe, Jonathan Bruce,
Alexa,
and
show contact Jonathan Bruce.
showing full name is Jonathan Bruce. Email is bruce@salesforce.com. Mailing address is 1 Market Street, Suite 300, San Francisco, California, 94105, USA. Lead sources purchase list.
Alexa, exit.
So as you can see, I have a pretty impressive home address, right?
So what we try to show you here is that we actually have access to almost everything inside the Salesforce org. Now, we've actually tied it to several of the common objects, things like cases and leads and accounts. But just like you're used to when you use AWS and other Amazon APIs, we have APIs for everything as well. So you can get to all your standard objects, your custom objects, all your layouts, all your actions. So it's a very cool way for you to interact with it. And our vision for this is that you could wake up in the morning and basically say, you know, what do I need to do today? What are the things I need to focus on? What are my leads I need to worry about? Who are the contacts? You know, so this is the type of thing that helps you plan your day. And it can either show you a list of things, or it can use Einstein to say, here are the things you should focus on because they matter the most. And what are the things that are most important for me and my business? And then importantly, when you get to things like these conference rooms, we have very strong security at Salesforce. Obviously, our customers demand that we have strong security. So what we've done is actually hooked up this device using OAuth. So behind the scenes, we have an OAuth device flow. And if you've ever hooked up things like a Amazon device or other, and you hook up to things like Netflix and that sort of thing, a lot of times it says, go to a browser or mobile device and enter this code. So you go to the screen. So we did exactly that. Salesforce has that built in as a standard OAuth type. And then we get back a token that we're storing on the Amazon side in a secure store. Then we use that to do these requests there. Now, the cool thing is the way they're working on the voice is making it so that you'll recognize a person's voice and know if that person is authorized to use it. So you can imagine in the not too distant future going into a conference room and saying, show my cases or show my leads or show my dashboards. And if someone else says, show something that they can see on the screen or they can hear, it won't show that because it'll recognize that that person is not authorized to do so. So that's very important that you can only let certain people authorize it. And if someone in the room does say that, you could have Alexa say, you know, you need authorization from a verified user. So the person who owns the account could say, I authorize that, and so forth. So you can imagine those kind of interactions. And you build up this set of intents in a way so that it becomes a very natural thing. In fact, my list of intents now has grown quite a bit. I have a little cheat sheet here. And what I've been doing is thinking about the way that our users interact with it. You know, show my cases, open this case, and that sort of thing. So building it up and learning. And behind the scenes, we're simply saying, call out the right API, show the right data. And the cool thing is their platform has these things which are display templates. If you haven't seen this, it's actually very cool. They have a cool simulator, and you can do things like body templates and list templates. So you can take data from almost any source and turn it into something you can do for these devices, as well as doing the voice piece. So a really cool platform. I'm really excited about it, as you can probably tell. Had a lot of fun with this. I've learned a ton. And we're very excited about the possibilities for where we can take this platform and this integration.
Yep, so thank you, Skip. I want to invite everyone back up on stage. I know we had a quick Q&A we wanted to do. If we have time still?
Absolutely.
Great.
Before we dive in, a couple questions for you guys.
Sure.
With Salesforce, a lot of super sensitive information gets stored and people care about the security of data. How are you guys thinking about that with the skills you've built?
Well, I think, you know, look at our website. Our co-founder, Parker Harris, will always tell you, trust is our #1 value. So just as Skip talked about the OAuth interaction and making sure something is super secure is really important. But if you think about how we, our administrators deploy devices and how they allow specific features of Salesforce to be used, we see a great attach there in how we actually control those profiles so that they'll be able to roll that out into their organizations, coupled with the device kind of or rollouts that you have as well. I think it's all going to be very synchronous.
Yeah, and some of you may have seen there was a blog post on the voice ID that the Alexa Skills Kit just made available to select third-party developers. You can find out more on the Alexa blog, but that is we think is a big first step for third parties. It's already available today and in use amongst a lot of first-party capabilities within Alexa, but we're now making that available for third parties so that a skill can customize the response based on whether or not the voice ID is recognized and the speaker's profile is recognized.
Yeah, and that will be an absolute key part of any Salesforce skill that we have here. We can imagine we certainly don't want the wrong voice to be asking the question of the Salesforce instance. So to have that layer of security is wonderful for us.
Yeah, that's great. And we have a bunch of plans and things that we're thinking about in the future for that around other factors of authentication. We don't want to add a password that you have to speak or anything, because that would be sort of counter to the frictionless experience of Alexa. But I think it's going to be fun to work with you guys to develop new ways. How are you, like, if I wanted to get started with this with my sales team today, how would I get started using what you guys showed off?
What do that?
Sure. So one of the cool things we have at Salesforce is Trailhead. In fact, you can see I have a Trailblazer hoodie on. It's part of our branding. So Trailhead is a great way to learn Salesforce. And we've worked with Amazon on a couple of different trailheads, as we call them, to help you learn about Alexa. And we've got one coming in the near future, which will talk about some of the Alexa for Business pieces. So look for those. If you haven't played with Salesforce, you sign up and you get a little trail, as we call it, and it walks you through and tells you all the things you need to do, and then quizzes you and gives you badges, so it makes it fun. Kind of gets into the whole social badging, gamification aspect of it. But it's been very popular. We have people competing to see who gets the most badges, but that's a great way to learn about it.
Yep, so a lot to that. So I think as we approach this, Skip and I very much approach this at a platform level. So what we've done here is applicable right across Salesforce. Sales, marketing, service, you name it. So where will we potentially see a first-party skill coming at this? I would say, and again, under Safe Harbor, we're likely going to do something around the analytics side. So much like where we have one of these skills whereby you can ask questions of Alexa, which will then drill down into reports or dashboards and will surface those back up. And what Skip's been able to do, we have this amazing duality whereby you have the experience via show and we can drive the app as well. And I think it positions us super well for both the desk and conference use cases that we're looking to work on.
So when you say platform and Trailhead, you've set up a set of instructions and tools that help a Salesforce customer deploy a private skill that's connected to their deployment of SFDC, and then they can do all the things.
Yeah, it'll be really a combination of both. So we anticipate we'll have first-party skills that we'll author, that they can then deploy privately themselves. And frankly, again, Safe Harbor, I would imagine that, one of the fun things of building it into our platform, we're going to see use cases that we haven't even thought of yet.
That's so much fun.
And that's the fun part for me. That's what really gets me excited, that people are going to do this and surprise us. So my answer is I don't quite know what everyone's going to do. Yeah. I look forward to seeing what's going to happen.
It's the same with Alexa. It's so much fun. And the way you guys have thought about this, because so many SFDC deployments are so custom and they vary from one customer to another, you really give a lot of flexibility.
Entirely. And I think one of the key sort of tells and tests that I have for what we've done here is that we're working with real data. None of this is canned whatsoever. And you're right. Every Salesforce org, by definition, is customized. Because when we build product, and I've come from product management in Salesforce, we build it such that people will tweak it for their needs, and that's why we ultimately get our stickiness. But anything we apply upon that, particularly a voice-driven type capability, has to be able to adapt to how our customers adapt their customer orgs for themselves.
And a lot of that is the sort of tactical, technical, how I would deploy this. How do you guys think about this from a product perspective? Where do you see this going as a part of the overall Salesforce product line?
Do you want to do the analyst piece?
So as a part of an overall product line, the platform vision would be to have a skill that can be used with anybody's org, but then also have a platform ourselves so that people build on, both the declarative side and the programmatic side. So you can imagine we give people a starting point with something that's on GitHub or somewhere, so they can take it and build their own customizations, give them a starting point. I don't know the full extent of what we have in AWS to get things started. I'm sure that's what we would do, is provide that kind of starting point. But our customers like the out-of-the-box type things, like an actual Salesforce skill, much like a mobile app. And then we'd love them to customize it in their Salesforce org, change it, and ideally get to where they can brand it and that sort of thing. Because a lot of our customers like their branding. They don't think of their users using Salesforce. They're using the Acme Corporation type site, and they have their own logos and branding and colors and that kind of thing.
That makes sense. Well, thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure working with you early days in this process, and we're excited, like you, to see what all the other developers and folks in the audience go build.
Yep. Thanks for having us. It's been fun.
Thank you, everyone. We'll be around if there's any questions.
Thank you.